Alrighty, so the book that I decided to get the chance to read for this assignment is The Wicked and the Divine, specifically Volume 1 by Kieran Gillen. It was written by Kieran Gillen, and then the artist was Jamie McKelvey, and then the colorist was Matthew Wilson, and Clayton Cowles was the letterist. It was published by Image Comics. It's 397 pages long, and it's a compilation of the first 11 issues of the Wicked and the Divine comic series. There are 7 volumes, but I am focusing just on Volume 1. It does have a very solid story arc. I really enjoyed reading it, and it has Act 1. It has a very solid 3-act structure. I don't know if it's just this edition of the book that I bought, but it doesn't have page numbers in it, so I had to go and count out the actual pages, which was a little frustrating, but I've got my bookmarks here. So Act 1 ends in here right at about page 149, and then Act 2 ends over here at page 259, and then Act 3, of course, goes from 260 to the end. The story follows the main character, Laura, she is a fan. She sort of follows the teenage or slightly older super fan mentality. This is Laura here, and as you can see, the artwork in this comic is fantastic. It's gorgeous, and it all has really great flow. But the main character is Laura, and her goal is not only to get in with the gods of her world, who are very much like the celebrities of her world. She wants to be in with them, not just as a groupie, but she really wants to be part of that world, of that lifestyle, and in that group, because she is such a huge fan. And she does eventually get what she's looking for, to a degree. There is a significant twist at the end that I won't spoil, but it is a very satisfying ending. There is a significant conflict there, with Laura trying to become a part of this world, and find herself on equal footing with these literal gods who are her celebrities. But there is a twist at the end that sort of leaves you on a cliffhanger, but again, this is volume 1 of 7, so that's understandable. Many of the characters have very interesting arcs throughout. Laura, for example, she starts off as sort of your typical superfan, where she sort of freaks out whenever another god is speaking to her or is in the room, and she's very nervous and sort of shy, not interested in sharing a lot. But then, as she goes through, certain things happen, and she becomes almost jaded in this weird, confident way, and she just says screw it a lot. She becomes very unfazable and very very confident in her own sort of presentation. And then at the end of the story, she does eventually have sort of a catharsis where she rises out of this sort of jaded exterior and kind of finds her true self. That's very significant. Another character, Cassandra, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but she plays the role of the skeptic. She doesn't quite believe in these gods as gods, and so throughout she's this very sarcastic, non-believing individual who is a really great contrast to Laura, who's a super fan to these gods. And then eventually throughout we do see Cassandra make a significant transformation to where she eventually becomes a big player in this kind of political drama game that these gods all have among each other. The story has these really great and interesting transitions. I mentioned the art earlier. So as you go throughout the story, each section will have pages like this, which will show they will show all the gods that are active. Each one of these symbols is representative of a god. The blank spaces are for gods who have not shown up yet, either in the story or just in the world. And so, and if you'll see this one, that's the symbol for Baphomet, which is on fire, which is this guy right here. And so it's sort of to show which ones are active and things like that. And throughout the story, there is one of the gods who actually dies. And their symbol is replaced with a skull for the rest of the story. And so you get these very interesting transitions into each section of the story that not only serve as sort of a buffer, but also sort of let you know what's going on behind the scenes once you figure out what those symbols mean. I would absolutely recommend this book to any of my classmates or to my personal friends and family. I think it's a great read. It's very compelling it's a very compelling story about self-discovery and passion and finding yourself and becoming what you want to be, which is always something significant. And not to mention, it's just got gorgeous art, very enjoyable and entertaining storytelling, hilarious dialogue in a lot of locations. As for a fun fact regarding the story, the reason I put this book on my list is because it was recommended to me indirectly by one of the cast members on the Dungeons and Dragons streaming show Critical Role. His name's Taliesin Jaffe. He's a voice actor, and he mentioned this in a game that they were doing one time as one of his favorites, and so it came highly recommended by him. And it's interesting because this is a book about gods in mortal bodies, so to speak, and it's been the running joke on Critical Role for the longest time that Taliesin himself is either some god or some ancient immortal deity that's been around for thousands of years. But overall, I found this is a very enjoyable book, a very great read, and I would highly recommend it to anyone else.